How's it going, Reef Keepers? So, I have received a shipment today from Dr. Reef's Quarantine Fish, which I think is being renamed Affordable Saltwater or something like that. I think as the business has expanded and he's doing like inverts and corals and stuff now, he's like trying to break away from just the quarantined fish thing and be a little more broad. But anyway, highly recommend that shop. For quarantine animals, pretty great. So this here is a red line wrasse that are sometimes sold as Christmas wrasses, but I believe it's a red lined wrasse, a male. And when I was acclimating him in the bucket, looked great, was doing fine. Drip acclimated him. I know there's all kinds of information out there about how you should acclimate wrasses, and whether you should have them in a box, and whether you should just release them into the tank, and whether you should have sand in the box, and what you should feed them, and like all this. Wrasses are weird. They're just weird, and they're tough. And this is the first like quote unquote real wrasse, like a pretty full sized sand dwelling wrasse that I've had. So forgive me if you've done things a different way than how I'm doing them and they've worked. I'm going through this for the first time, and after reading on the reef forums for a while, I decided there were so many different ways that people had success and failure that I would just like go with my instincts on this. And so here's what I've done. Basically, I set up this acclimation box and I braced it with a couple of magnets on the bottom, like power head magnets, and then put a little container of sand in there, which the wrasse doesn't seem interested in at all. And I have noticed, it's been in here a few hours now, I have noticed that there is some damage, I think, on its nose. So on its beak, so to speak. It's really hard to see, especially against the white sand. But it looks like there's some white, like, I don't know if that's a marking or if it's like wear that's occurring on its beak. But I've decided that I'm gonna let it into the tank. And I understand that it may dive into the sand and hide for who knows how long. My sand bed along the back of the tank is real deep. It's 2 inches plus in most places, like in the back side of the tank. It's shorter up here because of the power heads, but I don't expect it to just like dive in the very front of the tank in full visibility. So, but yeah, it's real deep in the back. And I think that's probably where it's gonna hide, or under the rock work. It's deep under there too. And hopefully it doesn't just hide forever. Hopefully my fish aren't, crazy about, the foxface likes other fish generally. I found that the foxface in my tank weirdly polices the tangs if the tangs pester a new fish. And the tangs will like pester for a while. They're really the only ones that I've seen exhibit any kind of like, anger or pestering behavior. And then they'll eventually just leave it alone. It's like not a big deal. So this is the last fish I anticipate adding to this system, by the way. I don't want to make it so crowded that the fish start stressing each other out or, competing with each other in any weird ways. But I wanted one wrasse to try to take care of pests. And I think I'm just going to release this wrasse because it looks like it's kind of languishing. Here, let me try to focus. It looks like it's just kind of languishing in this box. It's not really like swimming around the box. And again, see that on the tip of its beak there? Its beak looks a little scrunched, and it's just got this like, it's like the flesh is being worn away right there. And I don't know, I looked that up too, and there's people online who were like, oh, it's gonna die like by the end of the day. And then there's people who are like, yeah, it's fine, just let it into the tank and let it do its thing and it'll be fine. So I don't know. I'm going to let it into the tank, and I'm going to hope that its instincts take over, and that a wrasse being like great swimmers as a, class of fish or whatever you want to call them, I think it'll be able to escape any aggression that comes its way. And I mean, it could, of course, always dive into the sand. I don't want it to always be going into the sand or anything like that. But yeah, I am just going to release it into the tank. But I wanted to show you guys before I did that and just get a look at this guy. And again, like, hopefully this beak damage is not the end of the world or the end of the road for this little wrasse. I mean, some people were all doom and gloom about it, but I think more people than not were like, oh, you know, it'll be okay. Just get it into a situation where it's not banging its beak into everything around it. And right now, it's kind of just like bang, 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 banging around this thing, and I don't want it. I don't want that happening. It's stressing me out, and I'm gonna let it out into the open tank, and hopefully it doesn't just go headlong into a wall, right? So yeah, we'll see, and I will update you guys accordingly. But it's a beautiful fish, so really fingers crossed. All right, thanks. If you're enjoying, please like and subscribe.